Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today I wanted to show you a quick and easy way for you to use rainwater in your garden, and that is this watering system. So let's get started. You'll recall we had a 600 square foot plot before we now have a 1700 square foot plot. And 1700 square feet is going to require a lot of water, a lot of the time, and often. So the system that I devised is thusly, and you can see it works pretty well. These are the potatoes we planted, about the only produce we had in the garden before this expansion project, and they're doing quite well. Basically what you'll need is anything you can upcycle. All of this stuff I don't think we paid anything for, which is the best kind. So this is a bucket. She gets these at work from the kitchen, I believe. Once they use the stuff inside it, you're good to go. You can usually find these on the side of the road. If you need to buy them, they're like $5 each maybe. Lowe's, Home Depot, I believe, have buckets. You could probably go on Facebook Marketplace and find a place that is willing to sell them or give them away in bulk. A garden hose, which I keep finding on the side of the road. We will come back to the benefit of that here shortly. A drill with a drill bit the same diameter as the hose, or if you have a Swiss Army knife or a sharp knife, you can use the reamer or just the knife and cut yourself a circle. Doesn't have to be perfect, because what you'll do, I'm going to zoom in on you. I put a little bit of glue, so I pulled it deeper into the bucket, put glue on it, pulled it back through, and that's going to make the glue stick into that hole and make it a little more watertight. And then I wrapped it in duct tape, and that's also acting as a shim or a block. The last thing you'll see is I loaded it up with a little bit of rocks. If you have to choose between pressure and capacity, you're going to want pressure for this. So, ducks, really? That's weird. Anyways, so by putting a couple rocks in here, that's going to make the water level go higher faster, and that higher water level is going to give more downward pressure to push the water through. The last thing you're going to need is a the smallest diameter drill bit you have, and you're just going to drill every 6 inches, I believe I did. I put a drill bit all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. So you have 2 puncture holes. All right. So with that, you're going to find on the side of the road a lot of the times these garden hoses for free are on the side of the road because they have a leak in it. Aces. We're actually inviting leaks in these. So what we're going to do is, by cutting those individual holes in it, you're essentially creating a weeping hose. The problem with a weeping hose is it requires a lot of pressure, which we do not have because we're using rainwater, not a spigot, not a faucet, not a sposset, apparently is what I was trying to say. So what you'll do at this point is I have it routed underneath the fencing here. And ideally, before we put these potatoes in, this was actually underground. But since we had to change everything up, you basically just want to route this along the base of as many plants as you can do without damaging them, right? And every time this heats up in the sun, it's going to start loosening up a little bit, and it will start staying down. Ideally, again, you would put this in the ground, and now you're watering the roots directly. Even if it's just this way, this is going to allow you to water just the root system, as opposed to the leaves. So if I came in here with a garden hose and started spraying everything, I now got all of the leaves wet. I'm getting them very wet very quickly. So the plant is likely to start listing to one way or the other, possibly getting damaged, especially if there's a wind. Now the leaves are very heavy and there's a wind, so they're going to start, you could be compromising the plant. In addition to that big old fireball that we opened with, hitting the beads of water on the leaves can and will start burning them. It acts as very small magnifying lenses if the conditions are correct. So you are avoiding all of that. And the last thing you're avoiding is evaporation. If I start spraying all in here, how much of that's actually getting to the soil? before the wind takes it away, the sun takes it away, the heat takes it away, it gets wicked away, right? So by having it down low, it's already in the shade. The sun isn't affecting it. It's not touching the leaves. The sun and wind isn't affecting it. It's not blowing water out of the holes we just cut. It's just weeping water. And I'll see if I can't show you guys that. But it gives you all the benefits of essentially every drop that you put into that bucket is going to your root system, not to the plants. And that is a distinction with the difference. So I'm going to continue weaving this back and forth. And what I can do is if I make enough of these, you'll notice I have an upright right here, an upright right there, upright right here, upright right there. With a cinder block, you do want it higher off the ground than the plants. The higher you go, the more pressure you're going to have, and the quicker and faster it's going to feed that water. So have it on some kind of an upright. To me, I have cinder blocks. They are free. They are good to go. Before that, I had that log, that stump. And I would stack two of them on top of each other, and that would give me my height advantage. So have it up high. That's also going to make it a little bit easier to fill because you're filling it at waist level, not having to bend down to refill it. And that's also going to give you, again, the higher flow rate to get that stuff going. The other benefit to this is you could use rainwater. You can use rainwater in buckets, which is usually what we do. I can collect water from the pond on the other side of this barn, or underneath this barn are my two 330-gallon rainwater collection cubes, so 660 gallons on tap. I can carry them by hand with buckets. I have two 100-foot hoses connected together that I can run it down here and just fill them individually. And you'll notice, because there is physically taller than here, we again have that height advantage. Without having any kind of electricity, any kind of pumps, any kind of mechanical, any kind of anything that's prone to failure, just by throwing that throw valve, and you'll see in a previous video on the rainwater collection system, I get a crap ton of gallons per minute, and it doesn't really cost me anything. It's just the weight of the water above it. 330 gallons at 8 pounds a gallon, let's call it 10 pounds a gallon. You're looking 3,000 pounds of weight in that water cube. When you blow that blow valve at the bottom, that water has places to go. So all that to say, I have 200 feet of hose that I could just run it into this bucket, come in here and do something. 2 minutes later, this is overflowing, move it to the next one. Let this refill, move it to the next one, move it to the next one. And now instead of me having to use a garden hose, spray nozzle to do the individual stuff, I can just pour it into here, and this will start filtering it out, watering it out. The last thing is, if you have any kind of fertilizer or nutrient booster or something like that you like to add to your water, well, that's open topped. So you can add as much as you need to that, then add your water, and now it's going to water the nutrients or fertilizer or whatever additional stuff you need to put in, because it's not a closed system. You have the opening there. So let me go ahead and route this the rest of the way, and we'll cut back. We're up at the rainwater collection, of which I have two. This one is, let's see, if that's 50 and that's 100 gallons, we're at maybe 90 gallons. And I can do this and this, which is much easier with two hands. And this is a 5-gallon bucket that, with just the weight of 90 gallons of water, is going to fill up in like 30 seconds. Imagine what 300 gallons would do. So we are very nearly full. Kind of wasteful, but for the sake of the video, I wanted to show you. And that's not even fully open. That's fully open. And it will fill that up right quick and make a proper mess as it does it. Back at the garden, because this is about the right size, what I can do is just invert it into the bucket, and it'll start chugging, and then I'll take you into the garden, show you what it does. All right, so it's chugging, and you can already see It's starting to squirt a little bit. Giggity. Okay. So the way I have it, this is essentially uphill going downhill. So we have it starting at the top of the hill. That way, the water is more likely to continue down the hose, right? If it doesn't, all the water uphill is more likely to start going downhill than the other way around. And you can see, I mean, it doesn't have pressure, but it is squirting pretty good. Again, the benefit of this being underground is you're watering directly into the root system. You got a little bit of water coming down here, which is maybe 3/4 of the way. So my recommendation to you would be go ahead and set this up before you start planting things, or more appropriately, as you are planting things. Dig this into the ground, and then on either side of it, start planting your plants. And that's going to ensure that the root systems always get water. It's not going to be burning the leaves and all. Even right now, with it spraying up a little bit, it's not getting any of the leaves. It waters this whole thing, and that will help you keep the plot moister for longer. So that is what I have for you guys for today. Find buckets that are food grade or whatever, if you're interested and concerned about that thing. You're going to have water in there for 4 minutes every day. I don't know that you're going to be picking up chemicals from non-food grade safe plastics, but something to keep in mind. And then a garden hose is designed to carry water. So you're going to be squared away there. Doesn't really take any special fancy connections or fittings or anything. And the most you're going to have as far as visual appearance is, why do you have a bucket on top of a cinder block or on top of a log? So especially if this is buried, no one's really going to see it, and it becomes much less of an issue. You're not going to be rototilling this or anything, and if you are, then go ahead and pull your stuff out, which you're going to have to do anyways to put in the new plants. So it's a very, very low maintenance system that allows you to use rainwater collected from a pond, from your rain barrels, directly from your pond or rain barrels, or from a faucet, or from any buckets you have collecting anywhere, or using buckets to move things. Very, very multifaceted and very simple to maintain. Waters all the things. And I mean, this potato plant's over 1 foot tall, and this one is already flowering. So I can tell you that it works very nicely. Again, if you have it sectioned off like this is, I think 10 feet. So I can do halfway across the garden, 10 feet at a time. And if some things need more water than other things, aces. I have an individual watering system for each individual plot. Makes it very simple. So this is Outside the Target Demographic. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. And I will catch you guys in the next video.